If you've ever watched The Legend of Korra, you might remember that really intense scene when Zahir poisons Korra with metal. Her body convulses, she fights to stay conscious, and for a long time afterwards, she's left physically debilitated and emotionally broken. The master of all four elements meant to bring balance to the world is left physically disabled by metal and trauma. I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched this as a teenager, I was kind of like,
Who is this weak ass clown? Where is my boy Aang? And how is she gonna bring balance to the world?
And then I myself actually learned some really tough lessons over the next few years about the relationship between mental and physical health, how trauma impacts the mind and the body, but most importantly, how we can take our power back to heal and bring balance to our world, just as the Avatar does. This show means something completely different to me now as an adult, and I feel like those of us who have experienced illness, chronic illness, or trauma can really relate to Korra, because when we're traumatized and our trauma becomes a physical illness, or our physical illness becomes traumatizing, it feels like you're constantly fighting a battle no one else can see.
You can see her too?
For over 7 years, I struggled with these mysterious symptoms, but because no one could find anything physically wrong with me, every time I sought help, I felt like I was up against an invisible wall because I was constantly being dismissed by doctors, and I honestly, for a very long time, felt like I was trapped in my body. While this isn't exactly what happened to Korra, because she did have the most powerful healers on her side trying to help her, she still struggled. Today, I want to dive deep into why this happens, not just for Korra, but for many of us who have been failed, essentially, by the traditional medical system that we truly believed we could rely on.
Whenever you're ready.
What's the point? We've been at this for almost 6 months, and I can barely take a couple of steps without collapsing.
When doctors couldn't find a physical cause for my symptoms, I was eventually diagnosed with something called FND, which is functional neurological disorder. This condition presents itself with a pretty wide range of symptoms, including seizures, muscle weakness, movement disorders, and sensory disturbances, yet lacks a clear medical explanation. This is a condition that exemplifies how psychological factors can manifest as physical symptoms, which honestly sounds a lot like something we've heard before. Oh, right. Hysteria. Hysteria was historically a catch-all term to describe a wide range of symptoms, predominantly in women, from anxiety to fainting spells, without an identifiable physical cause. Interestingly, I found out that the term hysteria actually derives from the ancient Greek word hystera, which translates to womb. This etymology reflects the historical bias that linked these symptoms to the supposed instability of female reproductive organs. This raises the question, who propagated this oversimplification of female biology? Oh, right. Men. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, this dude named Sigmund Freud sought to unravel the mysteries of hysteria. He suggested that unresolved psychological conflict could manifest as physical symptoms, reshaping the understanding we had about mental health. And while his theories were groundbreaking, they did set a foundation for a dangerous legacy. The notion that symptoms could be simply dismissed as all in the head undermined the validity of many women's experiences. Unfortunately, Freud's approach often led to the stigmatization of individuals experiencing very real suffering. Instead of being seen as valid medical conditions, these symptoms were frequently labeled as hysterical, reinforcing harmful stereotypes about women and their emotional experiences.
You didn't tell me your friend was a girl. In our tribe, it is forbidden for women to learn waterbending.
Today, this legacy continues to influence the way various conditions are perceived, especially those that resemble the symptoms once categorized as hysteria. This overlap highlights a concerning trend. Instead of understanding these conditions as complex and valid, many healthcare providers may still default to labeling them as psychological. This diagnosis of exclusion not only perpetuates stigma, but also discourages comprehensive care and understanding. This leaves patients, individuals, feeling very isolated and frustrated on top of their illness. I believe that we need to challenge this historical stigma surrounding these diagnoses, and I think we should advocate for holistic, whole-body approaches to health and emphasize that psychological and physical health are deeply interconnected. They are intertwined.
I know what it's like to go through a traumatic experience. And I promise you, if you dedicate yourself to getting better, you'll recover stronger than ever.
That's what I want. More than anything.
It's time to break free from the constraints of these outdated beliefs and create a society where everyone's experiences are recognized, validated, and honored. But why does this happen? Why are we so quick to dismiss anything that doesn't fit into the tidy, neat boxes of modern medicine? I think it's because, as a society, we have overemphasized left brain thinking. Science and medicine are incredibly important, but they represent only a part of the picture. The intuitive, emotional, creative, nurturing, spiritual components gets lost. We are experiencing a war on consciousness, more specifically, a war on feminine energy. Feminine energy heals, nurtures, and gives life. It's a force that emphasizes connection, compassion, and understands that healing isn't just a physical process. It has emotional and spiritual dimensions to it as well. Today, we're actually seeing a resurgence of interest in feminine healing. Women are reclaiming their intuitive gifts and recognizing the power of their experiences. Awakening isn't just about personal growth. It's about creating a collective shift in consciousness. When we honor and integrate feminine energy into our society, we pave the way to a more holistic understanding of health, one that embraces the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit.
The poison did a lot of internal damage.
Can you fix it?
I can help guide your healing process, but whether you get better or not is up to you.
By acknowledging both our feminine and masculine energy, both the intuitive, emotional, spiritual, integrated with the logical, the scientific, this embraces the interconnectedness of our multidimensionality. To treat one dimension and ignore the other makes zero sense.
Hand over the bags or else.
You sure she's the Avatar?
Just as Korra learns to integrate her responsibility as the Avatar in a world that struggles to embrace her, we too must face the weight of responsibility in healing ourselves in a world that doesn't necessarily support our evolution. In this fight for balance, we must honor both the left and the right brain. In doing so, we can build a future that respects and integrates all aspects of our humanity, creating a world where healing isn't just possible, but is a profound collective journey. Little did I know, my personal journey with healing ended up looking a lot like Korra's. Remember that scene again where Zahir poisons Korra with metal? Let's revisit that for a second, but with some edits to highlight my experience.
Administer the poison.
In my case, the poison ended up being this giant amalgam filling in my mouth. For years, I had no idea that the silver fillings I got as a kid, which is commonly used in dental work, are made up of about 50% mercury. And over time, these mercury vapors were slowly being released into my body, seeping into my brain, accumulating and manifesting as symptoms that could not be easily explained. And just like Korra, who spent months, years trying to recover from the effects of her metal poisoning, I suffered. And like Korra, I was left feeling powerless, confused, and searching for answers. When I turned to modern medicine for help, I was dismissed. Over and over again, I was told that my symptoms were due to stress. This is exactly what we've been talking about. The way modern medicine just writes off symptoms that don't fit into a physical diagnosis that they've already learned about in their perfect little textbooks. To be fair, silver amalgams and mercury poisoning remain highly controversial in the medical world. I wonder why. Just like functional neurological disorder and other conditions where there's no clear, measurable cause. But here's the thing. Just because something doesn't fit into a rigid framework of conventional medicine doesn't make it any less real. It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that I had to fight for validation for my truth. And I am not the only person. This is not a unique experience, okay? Like, this is like a problem. This is an issue. This is an epidemic, y'all. It gets worse because after I had my fillings removed, I had a reaction to the mercury exposure during the removal process. I ended up in the ER with like full body convulsions. I was medically cleared and dismissed because of my psychiatric history. I literally had a seizure as I was leaving the ER. Like, the entire experience left me so shattered and so confused. Modern medicine did not have the answers. I was dismissed by doctors and left to figure it out on my own. The legacy of Freud and the dismissal of unexplained symptoms, especially in women, contributes to medical negligence, just as I experienced. We're told that our pain and suffering is psychological, that it's in our head, that it's due to stress and anxiety, and they treat us as if we are overreacting. This is the same narrative that has oppressed feminine energy for centuries. But Korra, she taught me that I could find a way forward. I had to dig deep. I had to trust my intuition, and I had to heal on my own terms. Something incredible happens when we stop seeking validation from outside sources and start trusting ourselves again. Korra had to reconnect with her own inner strength. And in the same way, I had to rediscover the wisdom within my own body and spirit. Healing isn't just a physical process, it's spiritual. It's time to reclaim the parts of ourselves that have been silenced or dismissed by a system that isn't actually working for our highest good. So let's talk about metals since we're here. I know this is a bit of a divisive topic and not everyone agrees on the impact of heavy metals, and the medical community is still debating their role in conditions like schizophrenia, ADHD, autism, and even Alzheimer's. Some researchers argue that heavy metals play a significant part in triggering or exacerbating these conditions at the least, while others remain skeptical, saying there's no definitive proof. So let's be clear. I'm not here to convince you that heavy metals are the sole cause of these conditions, but I do believe that they are a hidden factor that is often overlooked. There's growing evidence that chronic exposure to heavy metals can disrupt the body's natural detox processes, interfere with the nervous system, and contribute to symptoms like anxiety, brain fog, and even seizures. In my case, mercury poisoning was a direct contributor to the seizures, the chronic pain, and the neurological symptoms I was experiencing for years. I had to really investigate, and while this is my personal experience, it reflects a bigger issue: the tendency to overlook environmental factors in the diagnosis and treatment of chronic illness. It's important to approach this topic with a little bit of healthy discernment. We need more research to fully understand their impact. However, dismissing the possibility altogether limits our understanding of the complex ways our environment affects our health. By remaining open-minded but discerning, we can find the balance between exploring alternative perspectives and relying on evidence-based science. For people experiencing chronic conditions, the medical explanations just don't add up. By staying curious, asking the hard questions, and listening to our bodies, we can take back our power. It's important that our approach to healing reflects our own multidimensionality. We're not just physical bodies walking through life, we're made up of mind, body, and spirit. True healing happens when we integrate all three, when we honor both the masculine and feminine energies within us, balancing logic and science with intuition and emotion. This means that we need to stop relying on the narrow views of modern medicine alone, but opening ourselves up to holistic, personalized paths to healing. It means listening to your own body, to your own intuition, trusting your inner wisdom, and recognizing that you are the ultimate authority on your health.
Your problem is you've been disconnected for too long. Disconnected from yourself.
Korra had to remember who she was in order to return to her true self. We too have to go inward and reclaim the parts of ourselves that have been silenced or dismissed, and send that parts of ourselves love and compassion. We have to give ourselves that validation. We've been conditioned to give away our power to doctors, institutions, teachers, systems that don't always have our best interest at heart. But when we take healing into our own hands, we stop being victims to our circumstance. We take back our power. We acknowledge that we are the expert of our experience, even when other people are trying to tell us otherwise. Let's break free from these old paradigms, these limiting beliefs, the ones that tell you that your illness is all in your head or that you don't have any control over your health, because it's not just in your head and you do have control over your health. So where do you start? How do you heal? It starts by questioning the narratives you've been handed. It starts with exploring new ways that you can take care of yourself. It's about aligning your healing journey with your soul's truth, not just what others prescribe to you. Healing is not linear, and it's not a one-size-fits-all, but it is possible. When you take back your power, you're not waiting for someone else to fix you. You become the creator of your own health, your own life, and your own destiny.
I'm ready.
I'm not bending it out of you. You gotta do this on your own. Close your eyes. Clear your mind. That fight is over. Release the fear. Well done, Korra.
Korra had to face her deepest fears and trauma in order to reclaim her strength and find healing. We're all on the same journey. This journey is more than about healing our physical bodies. It's recognizing the immense power we hold within ourselves, the power of our will. So healing is not just about treating symptoms, it's about treating the whole person. When we learn to actually integrate the mind, the body, and the soul, we actually honor our multidimensionality. We open ourselves to a new way of living, one that allows us to actually live in our soul's truth, in our soul's power, and create a life where we're no longer at the mercy of some system or some doctor's diagnosis. It won't always be easy, and it won't always be a straight path, but healing is possible when you take ownership of your story, when you challenge the narratives that have been imposed on you, when you allow yourself to explore alternative, intuitive, and holistic ways to heal. At the end of the day, your health is your power, and your healing journey belongs to you. And remember that when you reclaim that power, you're not just healing yourself, you're showing a new path for others to follow. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: you are the creator of your own healing. The moment you decide to step into that truth is the moment your healing truly begins. If you made it to the end of this video, share with me your story. I would love to get to know this community of people who are on the same wave, right? We're here to heal ourselves and to change the world through that process, through that journey. I am sending all my love, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.